some of the updates and some of the news in terms of technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'll be going through a portion of the target audience for this car in the United States. In addition, we'll have a video from Thomas Ingelap, which goes into some of the design cues, differences between the V90 Cross Country and the V90. Afterwards, Stefan Sollequist will come up to provide more of a technical aspects of the vehicle. We'll then be joined by Anders Robertson, who will provide some of the US specs. A lot of the things that we're discussing in the presentation today are in the press kits, including pricing documents and full spec sheets. So feel free to take notes, but don't feel necessary that you need to take down every single element that's going to be discussed here today. And then we'll be wrapping it up with a short brief on the drive route. So a quick look at the driver profile of this vehicle. What's interesting about this segment for Volvo is the V90 Cross Country is, of course, taking the place of the XC70 in our lineup. And traditionally, that segment for Volvo has been some of our most affluent customers. Typically at about 35 to 60 years of age, and typically finding themselves in more kind of the managerial and professional roles. Very high net income. And when Dean had talked about the sense of the getaway car, this is typically a group that, of course, likes to try to get away from weekends, but really focuses on outdoor hobbies, not just for the actual adventure itself, but the actual preparation for these hobbies as well. So what we mean by that, you've seen some of the photography, it's not just kayaking. It's going to the stores, getting all the gear, getting the best gear that's available, doing the research, talking with members in the community, finding out the best new places for them to experience. That's the type of individual that enjoys this type of vehicle. It's not just about the adventure, but it's also about the preparation for the adventure, the anticipation of it, and then, of course, being able to go out and do it. So what you get with the V90 Cross Country is, of course, you get the driving dynamics of a car, but now with the added features that Stefan will discuss, you have a little bit more of that accessibility for adventure and a little bit more of that weekend getaway aspect. I want to introduce Thomas right now. Thomas Ingelap, of course, is ahead of our design. He's going to go over in this video some of the design aspects of the vehicle and the differences between the V90 Cross Country and the V90.
Designing a Volvo Cross Country is not just a styling exercise, a plastic job. With our Cross Country, you can go where a normal sedan or wagon can't go. Capability in challenging road, track and field conditions is the essence. So it all starts with the chassis. We raise the ground clearance not just by a couple of millimeters, but with a substantial 6 centimeters. The tire diameter has grown by up to 42 millimeters, providing us with a stable and rugged platform for our design work. To accommodate the bigger wheel, we designed wheel arch extensions. Together with the silk cover and the new front bumper, they protect the V90 Cross Country in rough terrain. The V90 Cross Country has a powerful stance. It radiates the immense capability of its all-wheel drive and the freedom to go where you want. The individual 90 models are differentiated by the detailing of the grille. The concave vertical curvature defines the main theme. It is proud and confident. Inscription highlights the character with 23 vertical chrome ribs. Our design shows a convex technical structure, and in Cross Country, the vertical rib is accentuated by 5 metal studs. This differentiation is reflected in the window frame execution. Chrome for inscription, silk metal for our design, and high gloss black for Cross Country. The Volvo V90 Cross Country brings a surprising and intriguing combination of exterior and interior design together. The interior is a luxurious cocoon, an inviting place with state-of-the-art interaction systems. The interior architecture is deeply rooted in our Scandinavian design tradition. Elegance, beautiful crafted materials, and masterful executed simplicity determine the welcoming, warm atmosphere. By tinting the walnut black, emphasis of the material's character shifts towards a natural structure, the grain of the wood. We could raise the level of luxurious execution by inventing the pearl seam. This beautiful decorative stitching makes an art out of a handcrafted sewing technique. It is this contrasting combination of a strong, powerful exterior and a warm, welcoming interior that makes the Volvo V90 Cross Country such a unique, attractive character. With the new V90 Cross Country, you have the option to change the expression of the car by tinting the exterior in monochrome execution. The contrast between the functional elements will reduce, and the character shifts towards a more discreet, elegant appearance. The Cross Country completes the lineup of Volvo's new 90 cluster. It is the missing link between the upright, proud XC90 and the beautiful, elegant S&B 90. It will continue the genuine tradition of the Volvo Cross Country with a new recipe, the blend of powerful off-road capability in a sophisticated, tailored wagon set.
So, as Thomas had discussed, specifically about the interior, many of you have probably heard us talk about the Scandinavian sanctuary that's seen across all of the 9 Series cars. The interior of the V90 Cross Country is very similar to that of what you've experienced in the S90, in that the design is ultimately to produce that kind of feeling of calmness and confidence in driving. And what's great about that is you have the ability, of course, to go over that rougher terrain, but you still have the capability of enjoying that luxurious drive and then that kind of serenity when you're going at higher speeds on more smooth pavement. The features inside the vehicle are similar to what we've seen in the S&B 90, of course, with the 9-inch center touchscreen and the air blades. The other change as well is in this, what was traditionally a linear walnut with the open pore that we experienced in the S&B 90 has been changed to a black walnut, where you're still able to feel and see a little bit of that grain. It provides a little bit more of kind of a dramatic feeling to it inside of the vehicle. In addition, of course, to all the connectivity that we've become well known for in the 90 series, the Bowers & Wilkins stereo system is available. That's still the 19 speaker system that was available in the S&B 90. Definitely an opportunity to experience that on this drive. All you do is swipe the center touchscreen to the left. You'll be able to access the sound experience. And there I definitely recommend that you try the 3 different sound experience modes. You have studio, and then you have the other mode which will really accentuate the voice. And then finally the Gothenburg concert hall mode, which really provides kind of an excellent sound for instruments. And the acoustics have been specifically tuned to the Gothenburg concert hall, which of course Gothenburg is where the company is based. The satellite radio is available on all these cars, so I definitely recommend checking out maybe a symphony channel to really hear in the concert mode. Go to a vocal standards channel to hear the voice mode, and of course anything that you like in the studio mode, and you'll also experience that tremendous sound. Right now I'd like to introduce Stefan Sahlqvist, who I can certainly talk about the vehicle, but Stefan knows much more than I could ever forget on the car to go over some more of the technical features.
Thank you. So my name is Stefan Sahlqvist, and I'm the product manager for the 90 series of cars globally. I'm going to focus on the chassis aspect of these cars. As Thomas mentioned in his movie film, is that the V90 Cross Country is not just a design thing. It is a true capable car. And the true capability comes from a chassis. I'm sure that a lot of you know already the chassis setup that we're using. It's based on the SPA architecture, which we launched in the XC90. Huge step for us. We started on a white piece of paper and redesigned a new platform from the base up. So in the front we have a double wishbone front suspension really improving the grip of the front end of the car, also reducing diagonal roll over the nose that you typically feel in a McPherson strut car. So a very good base. Rear suspension, we have a very modern multi-link rear suspension, very package efficient, not intruding to the interior. We have a standard, composite transversal leaf spring, and as an option, we have also air suspension in the rear. So we have the hardware there. We have the basis from the SPA architecture. But the work that has gone into the V90 cross country is quite tremendous. We've spent several thousand of hours in our state-of-the-art simulator. So we have a very sophisticated state-of-the-art simulator that help us develop the chassis characteristics of our cars. This saves time, tremendous amount of time. So before we actually have the physical cars available, we're able to tune the car in different ways in the simulator so we have a good base setup when we actually get the physical cars there. When it comes to the V90 cross country, it has a dual nature of it. It needs to be capable in off-road situation, but still needs to give you this confidence and high-speed feel on the highway, what we call relaxed confidence. This is this balance that you get into that is so important for us. A lot of our heritage is in here. As you saw last evening, we have the V70 cross country that is over 20 years. So we have a strong heritage, and these are truly capable cars. So that's where the really craftsmanship comes in tuning these cars. We have the simulation tools, we do a lot of calculations, but at the final end, there's a lot of hours spent in the cars to get the tuning right. So here's the film is from actually our test facility outside of Gothenburg. I'm sure some of you have spent some time there in the past. So the most obvious part is that we have raised the chassis with 2.3 inches, giving you an overall ground clearance of 8.3. Which is very impressive for a crossover car like this, all round like this.
Can you say those two numbers one more time?
We raised it 2.3 inches, giving us an overall ground clearance of 8.3 inches. Yeah. This helps us, of course, going in off-road situations. It helps you typically at a boat ramp or something, when you want to pull out a boat or something like this, giving you this extra ground clearance that you really want to have when you do your outdoor activity, for example.
Sir?
Yes?
Do you know departure approach angles on that or no?
I have it in the notes.
Okay.
I don't have it in mind just now, but I have the exact figures.
Has the track been increased at
Yes,
all? Or
yes.
How much?
20 mil on each side.
On each side?
Mhm.
42.
Yeah. Correct, yeah. So, we have raised it, made it a little bit wider. This gives you the, you will feel it when you drive the car. It breathes a little bit more than the regular S90 does, giving you a little bit more suspension movement. These pictures here, this film is actually illustrating all the development work going into tire development. I'm sure that you know that OEMs like Volvo, together with the tire manufacturers, we truly developed the tire together. So we have unique tires on these cars that are branded for Volvo, VOL. In this case, we have focused on better grip for off-road capability and a little bit more rounded profile to help us through the rough stuff. Yes, please.
I'm just curious about the tires. What happens when you are in need of a tire and not near a Volvo dealer?
Well, you're not near a Volvo dealer.
They're available in the, through the regular tire distribution channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tires aren't, you don't have to just get them through a Volvo retailer. Tire Rack and those places will have availability as well.
Of this exact tire that's branded Volvo with these unique characteristics.
Yes.
Who's your tire partner, Jim?
This is Pirelli.
Pirelli. We work with Pirelli, Conti, and Michelin, usually. And in these cars, we're using Pirelli.
Only Pirelli for these? Pirelli exclusive on this car?
On these dimensions, yes. The 19s and 20s, we're using Pirelli. Yeah. As I mentioned, a lot of tuning has gone into chassis development. Up to 200 different settings, physical shock absorber settings, before we actually targeted this is the setting we want. We do a lot of the tuning on test track, but also in the real world. So we do a lot of the shock absorber testing and development in the UK on the countryside, very demanding roads. And we do the verification all around the world, from the North Pole up, or north of the polar circle up in Sweden, all the way here to Arizona, where we have a test facility since 30 years back. And we drive the cars all over the world before we release them to the customer, of course. Well, when it comes to the cross-country, a lot have gone into the tuning of the electronics, chassis electronics, like the electronic stability control, the shock absorber, the all-wheel drive system, etc., etc. So quite many different changes under the skin, under the car, that you typically don't just see on the outside of the car. Okay. Then the technical specs of these cars you're going to drive today. We offer the T6 all-wheel drive on the US market with 316 horsepower and 290 foot-pound of torque. On the cross-country we have what we call the hill descent control, which is standard. And we have the drive modes. So the standard setting when you get into the car is the comfort mode, you have an eco mode, and you have a dynamic mode. And of course, especially for the cross-country, we also have the off-road mode, which is the hill descent control together with a low-speed control. So it's a crawling support when you're going up in steep hills or something like this, or down. Yeah.
Does it always default to comfort when you start it, so if you're in off-road or anything?
Yeah.
And there's no sport mode?
It's the dynamic mode.
Okay.
That has a little bit different throttle response. It will also have a different shifting pattern, etc. And all the cars out here today are equipped with the optional air suspension and the active chassis control.
Do you have any locking differentials?
No.
Stefan, can you confirm that that default to comfort mode is actually a requirement, EPA?
That's an EPA requirement. That's how the car has been certified on the market. So it needs to go back to that. That's why we cannot let it stay in your individual mode.
Have those, the three modes that carry over from the V90, are those sort of tuned exactly the same as they are at V90, or have they been tweaked a little bit for the XC, or for the cross-country purposes?
I'd say that they are a little bit tweaked.
Okay.
A little bit tweaked. Yeah.
Is the T6 powertrain the only one coming to the US, or will it be a T5 or T8?
Currently it's the T6 that is planned. Yeah. Yes?
One question on, going back a bit on the shock absorbers.
Yeah.
You said that there were 200 different permutations that were tested around the world.
Yeah.
Are there different calibrations per market where these cars are destined for? So in other words, will a car that's destined for Northern Europe have a different calibration than a car that's destined for Arizona, that's destined for Japan, that's destined for Russia?
Good question. No, we found a good balance, a compromise that works all over the world. Typically, this car that is all-rounder as it is, it works very good on all different surfaces.
So one spec within.
One spec. So you have the passive, and then of course you have the active chassis.
Yeah.
So those are the difference. The man, gentleman.
Yeah. What is the plan for the plug-in version?
I cannot comment that currently.
Yeah, right now the current cycle plan is for the T6 in the cross country. Right now the T8 for wagons in the United States is under investigation, but right now there's been no confirmed plan.
Even for V90 non-cross country?
Even for V90 non-cross country, it's always under investigation, but right now there's not a plan.
And that's US only or global?
Globally.
Good questions.
Well, there's still no questions. Back to the wheels and tires, can you talk about the decision, the larger wheels mainly a design decision? Because normally off-road you'd want a little bit more tire, a little bit less rim.
Yeah, as Thomas mentioned, the outer diameter is up to 42 millimeters larger, so we can go with the higher tire sidewall. So we'd say one profile higher than the regular V90 or S90.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think I understood.
So it's a higher profile tire on this car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little bit. Yeah.
With all the changes that you made to this, and you may cover more even as you move forward in your presentation, but would you say that this vehicle with the wider track and the specific tires and the bumper guards and stuff like this, would you say this car is a better off-roader than an XC90?
Coming back to what Dean mentioned, our customers in the past, cross-country customers, they really use these cars off-roading in a bigger sense than the typical SUV driver. When it comes to capability, it's the same. Of course, this car feels smaller, it's a little bit smaller, so it's more nimble, and you feel a little bit more perhaps in control than sitting a little bit higher as an SUV. But
Hill descent control.
what's that?
The hill descent control is in this car.
Yeah.
And not the XC.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's correct. The hill descent control is one of them.
You've chosen just to do a rear suspension, air suspension? Why not do the front like the XC90 for even greater ground clearance?
It's part of the architecture. We could not accommodate air suspension in front with this design. That's just how it is. The space. Yeah, it's the same as the S90. So it builds. They're quite big packaging-wise. The air bellows. Yeah.
I know that Bowers is the premium sound system. What is the packaging or origin of the standard sound system in the car?
It's, yeah, I don't know if we comment that. Do we? No, we don't comment that. We call it the high performance system, that's the standard. A very good sound system, as you may know already, but the high end is the Bauer Wilkins. Okay?
Bring it on.
Anders, please, my colleague, you can tell the crowd all about the US spec.
I certainly shall try. Well, thank you so much. As you heard, Stefan, he's the global guy, we call him that, and then I'm going to be the US guy here. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of the US spec and the US setup we have for these cars. I had a chance to meet some of you last night, otherwise I'm looking forward to talk more to all of you later on today. So if we start by looking into the standard specifications of these cars, they're all very well equipped. So just standard in these cars, they're very, very well equipped cars. But I just want to point out a couple of the big things that actually made the decision to have standard in these cars. First of all, we have our pilot assist system, which is our semi-autonomous drive system. So that will actually help to keep you in lane. You know, we got good lane markings, so we'll help, you know, with the light steering input to keep you in lane. as well as the space to the car in front of you, right?
Is that the same version that's in the S90?
Yes, it is. Goes up to 80 miles per hour. And we also have, of course, 9-inch Sensus Connect touchscreen in all these cars, as you heard before. The Thor's Hammer DRL, definitely standard in all these cars. You've seen them on the S90, the XC90, so this is a little bit of a signature mark now for all our Volvos. We have a panoramic sunroof, of course, also standard in these cars, so that's a nice, very nice feature to have also in these cars. And I definitely want to point out as well that the blind spot information system is also standard in all the cross countries.
I have a question about the blind spot.
Sure.
I find the blind spot indication to me one of the most effective, but given the stroboscopic effect, I'm asking this not as a joke but in all seriousness, can it possibly induce a seizure?
I have never heard any of that being a risk. I don't know if anybody
From the
else
blinking?
heard that.
Yeah.
No, the blinking frequency is not strong enough. We never had an instance or a report.
I was just, I mean, I find it extremely effective, but
Yeah.
I'm prone to.
Sure. Yeah, it hasn't come up.
Oh,
Adjust your mirrors correctly, to turn everything off.
Yeah, another question?
Refresh my memory, the XC90, some of this stuff is not fitted as standard, like the Thor's Hammer is not on all the XC90s, is that correct?
No, it's not on all cars, but keep your eyes open to see maybe new model years or what kind of changes we might do on the XC90 as well.
Is the Thor's Hammer fitted as standard on the regular V90?
Yes, it is also standard on, and that's the model year 18. The V90 that we launched is the model year 18 already. And Thor's Hammer standard on it.
And another remind me, it's also standard on the XC90 now, Thor's Hammer.
Since we're going there, it will be for model year 18.
On year 18.
Yes, it will be. So.
Is the Thor's Hammer dependent on LED lighting?
Yes, the DRL, the daytime running
Right.
lights is LED, and of course also the headlights are LEDs. So absolutely yes. All right, and then moving on to the two packages we're going to have on these cars. As you heard before, cars are extremely well equipped, just standard, but if you want to change to get even a little bit more equipment into the cars, we have the luxury package. That kind of changes the look or the feel of the car to some extent, and of course I want to point out a couple of the features of that package. First of all, being the ventilated Napa seats, as well as the backrest massage. So maybe both of those features would be something worthwhile trying out today. It's a little hot today, so you can try the ventilation. And the massage, I'm sure, will be pretty nice when you're going to be in the car for a little bit of a while, right? We also have the rear sun curtains, which is very nice for the passengers in the rear seats. And on the outside, we changed the look of the car with what you heard from Thomas before. So you get the fully color-coordinated bumpers and sills on the luxury package car as well. So it changes the look of the car also from the outside to some extent. Moving on to the convenience package, we just want to point out a couple of the features of that package as well. HomeLink is going to be in that package. We also have the Park Assist Pilot, and a very much liked feature is the 360 surround view camera that we have. That is part of the convenience package as well. And the cars you're going to be driving will have this, of course, as well. And half of the cars will also be equipped then with the luxury package. So we'll have a chance to experience all these things during the drive today. Pricing, if you haven't seen it before, the car itself starts at $55,300, and then the luxury package is $4,500, and the convenience package is $1,950, and you have to add destination charge on top of that to get the full picture. Yeah?
How do you expect, or how does Volvo expect most cars to be ordered by dealers with which packages?
We expect convenience package to be on a lot of these cars, so by far more than half of the cars. Luxury package may be in the 20-30% range. It's a little bit of a new feature for us, so we'll see exactly how that's going to pan out. Then there's a couple of the single options as well, like Bowers and Wilkins, air suspension, those kind of things that will be on the higher equipped cars.
And will this be available immediately for overseas?
Yes, it is available already.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
Do you have EPA figures yet?
Yes, 25-30 for, 25 for city, 30 highway. No, I have to go back. 22, 25, 30 is what it is. So 25 is the combined, 22 is city, 30 is highway. Yep.
Do you have a breakout as far as projections for sales for this year on this, for US?
For volume?
Yes.
We don't have, it depends a little bit on exactly the volume of cars we're going to be getting also from the factory. As you heard, we have a little bit of constraints. We're ramping up everything from the factory. But we're looking at a couple of thousands of cars to come into the market through this year.
Okay, I'll respond.
Okay? And after that, I would like to just talk a little bit about the availability of cars. Retailer demos did go out to the dealerships in February. And basically, as we speak right now, customer cars are starting to kind of flow out to the dealerships. So these cars are now available at the dealerships.
Are they technically on sale? Was the on sale date
Yes,
already passed?
yes, they're on.
What was the on sale date?
We released pricing, remind me now.
Oh, it was end of January. Detroit is when pricing came out, but end
Yeah,
of January is when orders were taken.
But when was it officially released to customers?
Well, they're starting to be released to customers now.
Yeah, but is there a date?
Exactly.
March 1.
Today.
Today. Oh,
Yeah,
today.
when they, when they come from when they go out of the port and they're delivered, yeah, March 1.
And with that, I think I'm going to hand it back to Jim. If there were more questions, yeah?
So, on topic of volume and everything, direct competitors, I mean, it kind of feels like it plays in the class of style at the moment, but, I mean, Outback, or our smaller Outback style market, where is a direct competitor for this, in your guys' view?
Yeah, we feel like we actually don't have a direct competitor. We see kind of two cars in the vicinity. The All Road, as you mentioned, is one. It's smaller, a little bit lower priced. And then on the, in some ways, similar level, you have the E-Class wagon. It's a pure wagon. They don't have the cross-country version of that on the US market. But when you look at kind of wagon-like vehicles, those are the closest ones we can get to. But we don't really see one direct competitor.
Do you view the Outback at all in that segment, or no?
I would say, it's a similar type of car, but it's such a different price range, so I wouldn't say that we see that as a great competitor.
And then that number you gave me on the few thousand this year in the US, is that V90 and cross-country, or is that just cross-country?
I mean, it's basically either way you want to view it. The V90 itself is a model 18, so it's not going to come in until the summertime.
Okay.
It is only available as a customer order production car, meaning we're not going to buy those in stock at the dealerships.
Okay.
So it's going to be in lower volume by itself. The cross-country itself, we will have availability at the dealerships. So that's definitely where we're going to see most of the volume for the V90s.
So do you see most of the sales going to existing Volvo customers or conquests, or what's the mix that you predict?
We see both. We have a good, strong foundation with the XC70 buyers out there. This car is priced a little bit higher. So we know we're going to take a good chunk of the existing customers. They will be attracted also by this car. But we also need to and we plan to conquest quite a lot of customers for
Can you break that down into some sort of projection?
we have basically I would say about a 50-50 mix on that. So we need to conquest about half of the
And
new
conquest
customers.
from where?
It will be from a little bit everywhere. I mean, as I said, this is a very active choice for these customers. You know, they make a deliberate decision. They could have bought an SUV type of vehicle from pretty much anybody. So it will be a little bit from SUV type of buyers. It will be a little bit from wagon buyers, but always this activity base. So they kind of define themselves a little bit more from the activities they're doing rather than just the work maybe they'll get.
That's what I was going for, like we were discussing last night, if it's, you know, if it's really going to be perhaps more going after some of the crossover SUVs and things like that.
Yeah, we see it going both ways. I think the next question
Yeah,
is
so in a market which has for decades said wagons just don't play. You say something's a wagon, it's out of consideration for a lot of customers. How do you position, how do you wind up going beyond that perceptive obstacle?
Yeah.
And do you market the XC version of this differently than the wagon? Do you not sort of position it as a wagon, almost try to position it as the slightly smaller or lower crossover than your XC90?
Yeah, in many ways, we don't view this as a wagon. This is our cross country. That's why it has this unique name to it. So we define it as a Volvo V90 cross country. So that is kind of the trim, that's what we're focusing on. And if you want to really go more for the typical wagon, we have the regular V90 available. And we see a definite difference between these type of customers. As I said before, these guys are typically fairly active. They define themselves as, being, a mountain climber first and then a CEO second, or whatever it might be in this case. So they kind of go after this specific type of car. Then we have another niche kind of player, which is the typical normal wagon buyer. And those buyers in the US, as we know right now, there's not too many of those available, but we know we have a strong base as well of these wagon buyers in the US. So we wanted to make the V90 available, but as I said, you have to customer order it that case. You can get it via overseas delivery, or you can actually order it and wait for it to
So
come
what
here.
is the mix going, what do you expect the mix to be between V90 and V90 cross country?
I mean, at this point we say we're going to sell a couple of thousands of the cross country, and the V90s is what make this available only as customer order. We don't really know where it's going to pan out, but I say maybe it's a couple of hundred cars. Because it is a small part of the segment.
So I know there's still a lot of questions, but we are now 10 minutes behind schedule, and there's a lot of people that do want to get in the cars. We have 4 hours ahead of us. So I just want to quickly go over the drive route briefing. As always with us, everyone is available all day long. So everyone's going to get questions answered and everything, and make sure that all the information is available. But I just want to go through the route real quick, and that way we can get people in the car.